Yes, good afternoon, one and all. It's Suzette Speaks live on your radio. How are you? This is the Suzette Speaks show. I'm grateful that you're here listening to this brand new show. Welcome. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day in the city. I'm glad you are here vibing. Thank you to DJ Young Trini. Always a pleasure listening to him. Give us the positivity through music. We appreciate you getting us ready for the weekend. You guys know that Friday is a fire Friday here. And we are here to enjoy life. I'm telling you, with the news moving at the fast paced speed that it's moving, I just can't just stay on top of it the way I want to in this hour that we have together. If you guys are new here, I am an attorney. I love to talk about hot topics, politics, headline news you can use, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of light humor and a fun story at the end of today. Of course, there's a lot going on, so I had to try my best to narrow down what topics I think you need to know most about. Before I get there, I want to first invite you on Friday, February 28th, the Jamaica International Music Awards. I will be hosting alongside I don't know if it's Action Kwame, but I'll be hosting this third annual award show and gala presented by Voice of the Caribbean. The Jamaica International Music Awards is a big deal. We'll be at the Chateau Mar Golf Resort. You can get your tickets now on Eventbrite. It is Friday, February 28th. We will have a beautiful cocktail hour. This is Dress to Impress now. Beautiful cocktail hour starting at 6 p.m. and doors open at 6, cocktail hour at 7, and dinner at 8. And of course, this is a show for the fans. So you get to vote on your most favorite celebrity artist, right? There will be live performances, special guests, all that beautiful stuff, and just a wonderful night to remember. So make sure you get your tickets now for the Jamaica International Music Awards. I also will be putting together a networking social the night before. I'll be presenting the Politic and Networking Social, just trying to bring awareness to the Miramar elections. The city of Miramar will be hosting its municipal elections on Tuesday, March 11th. So, in preparation for that, I am doing a social mixer for professionals, including many of the candidates that will be running in that election, March 11th. So, stay tuned for more information. That will be February 27th at the Social Room in Hollywood. And I can't wait for you guys to see my lineup. If you're following me on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on any of those platforms, on YouTube, big up my YouTube who are watching, and you'll get to see more about that event coming up as well. I wanted to get to stories that relate to both what is happening in the United States and throughout the Caribbean. So I tried to narrow down of all the things we could talk about. We could talk about the workforce, the federal workforce that is under attack, literally, and the buyout offer that has been sent to more than 2 million workers for the federal government, various agencies from the CIA to the FBI to the Department of Justice to the Department of Education to all of these wonderful public servants that are supposed to be working on behalf of the people of the United States. They have been offered uh, basically a severance, which would be to work for a certain amount of time from home, collect their paychecks without having to come into work, and then they would be without a job in September. So it wouldn't be a firing, but it would definitely be a parting between them and their agency. Well, as we were talking about Gaza yesterday, I was just like, there's so much more we need to be talking about. And I do not want to get caught up in distractions because I do think a lot of the media sometimes is, playing ping pong with, oh, look over here, look over there, the next thing, the next thing. So I just want to be more strategic with how I present information to you, the Voice of the Caribbean family, as we listen together, as we endure what we're doing, day to day together, wherever you live, Miami, big up yourself, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Port St. Lucie, Orlando, wherever you are in our listening area. There is just so much going on. I just want us to kind of clear our headspace. This morning, I woke up with a great feeling of gratitude just to be alive, just to think about all of the ways in which God has been so faithful, right? Even with all the tumultuousness of the last 18 days, I'm like, God, you are still my sustainer. You are still so faithful, and you will have our back, whether whoever is in the White House. We don't have to get too caught up in the moment. As I was visiting a cousin of mine, I was helping her fill out her financial aid for college, the FAFSA form, over our house last evening. And I was just talking to my cousins and my auntie, and they were like, yo, Trump going to be Trump, you know. You can't focus on Trump. You have to focus on yourself. on what you're doing to advance yourself, your family, and your life. So I wanted to just give you a gentle and loving reminder that yes, even though we are going to dig deeper into some of what is happening, you cannot get caught up in just the rigmarole that's happening in our federal government. We have to pay attention. We have to reach out to those elected officials, those in Congress, both those at the state level, and of course vote, if especially like in the Miramar election coming up in March 11th. We do have to be wise though with how we are spending our energy and not letting these distractions become energy vampires to us, right? So we have to be very careful and very strategic with what we are paying attention to and why, and if it's designed to distract us from the bigger fish. So I'm going to cover a couple stories. I really wanted to get into what's going on at the Panama Canal. Marco Rubio looked like he might have prematurely uh, I don't like when people do this in negotiation as an attorney. And again, Donald Trump's negotiation tactics are very much like press you, press you, press you to the wall, threaten you to oblivion, something you cannot take, something that would totally tank our economy, totally tank the, for example, the trade war with Panama and excuse me, with Mexico and Canada. Put it all the way to the brink, 25%. That would tank the Canadian economy, send the United States economy spiraling. People's goods were going to be through the roof, skyrocketing. And then at the very end, a plan that already was in existence in Canada, $1 billion that was already approved by the Canadian government to help strengthen their border. He takes credit for, hey, we have a border deal. See, my tactics work. Same thing with Mexico. 10,000 troops, Mexican troops, were then promised before the brink, the deadline of the tariff going into effect. And now, see, I got 10,000 troops to protect our border. I'm a great negotiator. So here we are yet again with the Panama Canal. Mr. Trump was very adamant over the last couple of weeks that he's been in office that he wants to regain control of the Panama Canal and somehow, in his opinion, subvert what he calls Chinese influence over the canal. And Marco Rubio has been around the Panama Canal or visiting in the Panama Canal, the Panama Canal zone this week. And he made some statements about the United States not having to pay anymore. The United States flag ships, right? Ships under the United States flag will not have to pay any more fees to go through the Panama Canal. Well, not so fast. I also want to talk about Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, and Trump's plan, and whether it's legal or not to be sending migrants to Guantanamo Bay for processing and then eventual removal. Now, Guantanamo Bay is not a black hole. I want to just emphasize that because a lot of people think of Guantanamo Bay as being like a very lawless or a place where there is no, in fact, rule of law. We have had several United States Supreme Court rulings contradicting that. However, Guantanamo has been, since George W. Bush, been used to house migrants, particularly Haitian migrants, others who have been interdicted, meaning picked up at sea already. But this is the first time that a United States president is using or plans to use Guantanamo in order to ship off with military assistance migrants from the United States mainland now to Cuba. How much is this going to cost? All of these things that are going on. I'm just trying to focus more on stories that pinpoint the Florida connection, the Latin American connection, the Caribbean connection for us as far as what this administration is doing, because there's so much going on. Yes, news overload. I see you watching me on the YouTube. Big up yourself to my YouTube family and all those watching online on Voice of the Caribbean. Actually, let me make sure you are watching online. One sec. Putty Party Car, Voice of the Caribbean. My bad. Now you should be able to see me. So big up everybody watching on voiceofthecaribbean.com. This is Suzette Speak Show Live. Wanted to do a headline news rundown. News you can use, of course. There's so much that we must be aware of. The Trump administration is moving fast and furious through Project 2025. Let me just call it what it is. What the conservative blueprint was prior to the election, the one that Trump said he had no idea of and what it was going to be and he had no connection to. We have seen a lot more of it in effect. Incidentally, there are so many more of the ideology that has been expressed in that blueprint that we have been seeing carried out in just the first 18 days of this administration. So I do want to talk about what Marco Rubio said concerning the Panama Canal. I do want to get into a little bit about Trump shipping migrants and whether it's actually legal for his plan to ship migrants to Guantanamo Bay from the United States mainland. And I also want to get into the second half of the show, something a little bit more fun. I mentioned it yesterday. Hey, Annie V, I see you. I see you all watching online. I appreciate you. Those watching on voiceofthecaribbean.com. You can always take us with you. We have an app you can download from your app store, Voice of the Caribbean. Of course, Facebook, VOTC Radio. And Instagram, Voice of the Caribbean, X. I don't know if we're still on X. Sorry, it's called, yeah, X. Voice of the Caribbean. But I do want to talk about the lessons I'm learning from an American who has been stranded in Pakistan. I don't know if you have been following this social media viral story, but it is I just for the first time have seen a news article written within the last day by a mainstream news outlet. The New York Post has just picked it up, and a couple others have picked it up. But on social media, a woman named Onija Robinson from Brooklyn, New York, has been transfixing not only the country of Pakistan, but being of African descent. She's an American woman, black woman, who has literally shown me the power of audacity. Now, of course, Onija Robinson, if you don't know the backstory, she was, according to reports, allegedly took a trip to Pakistan to meet a man who she was dealing with romantically online and who had promised to marry her. Now, I don't know who tricked who or who had the best of who, whether it was Onija who had promised to marry or didn't fully disclose all of her issues, let's say, or whether the young man had presented himself to be a different age and a different stage. He turns out to be 19 years old. She's 33, according to reports. She flies to Pakistan. The young man, upon meeting her, first of all, I don't think he really believed that she was going to go. But on top of that, she came, she demanded her marriage. Apparently, his parents rejected her and said, no, 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 my son is not marrying you. And the family has gone into hiding, and she has, in her plea to the government and her plea to local officials in Karachi, Pakistan, for help, not only with the marriage, but with allowing her to stay in Pakistan, she has created an internet sensation, y'all. Let me tell you how big this has become. I was in a food shop yesterday. I was actually at Crafty Crabs. Shout out to Crafty Crabs. It is a crab house, and I think they have restaurants both in Broward and Dade. And I stopped in Crafty Crab, and I cannot get enough of this news story because it is so funny. Now, let me first preface in saying I do believe, and there have been reports from Onija Robinson's family in New York. Again, this is the woman from New York who went to Pakistan who says she was ghosted by her 19-year-old, supposedly romantic interest. She is 33. She ended up in Pakistan trying to, I guess, fulfill what was a marriage promise. Ends up there. The kid, I would really say, the teenager's mom says, or parents say, no, not happening. And then from there, she and her personality has taken over the social media streets. When I look up some more information about her, the family, I think a man alleging to be her son, has said that she does in fact suffer from some mental health challenges. So I'll put that caveat out there that apparently she is not well enough to be making some of the decisions that she's making or needs additional treatment. But in her audacious state of mind, again, not sure if all the details that she has disclosed are real, but or are as factual as she presents them, only seeing them from her perspective. She has gotten a local imam to help her have press conferences literally daily. And those press conferences and her antics are just entertaining, can't even express the joy, the laughter. And I don't think it's a laughter at, it's really kind of like a shock laughter when you take in that she's in Pakistan. And I think one of the real reasons why this story has become so viral is the assumption many Americans and others have about Pakistan and what it would be like to live there and about the people who live there. Seeing how wonderfully kind the folks have been to Miss Onijah Robinson and seeing how she has become an internet sensation, it is outstanding how we have been able to have a different perspective of the people of Pakistan and the standard of living in Pakistan and the social graces of what it means to be a visitor in Pakistan, because people are comparing and contrasting as to whether a person like that who came to America would have even close the level of tolerance. Not only tolerance, they have been downright accommodating and kind, from the police officers to social workers to philanthropists who have come to her aid. Now, again, when you watch these, I'm going to try to pick up some of the sound on her press conferences. Her demands are outlandish. She's definitely not in a fully cognitive state of mind. She is definitely, I mean, I can't diagnose her as a practitioner, but there are many who would argue she is not well in terms of being fully competent and not suffering from some sort of mental health break. But in this journey, I don't know, they say God take care of babies and fools. I'm watching an unfolding that has so many life lessons. So I want to get into that a little bit. But before I get into Onijah Robinson, I want to again welcome you if you're just watching. Shout out to the people watching on the YouTube side. Shout out to those watching on the app. Suzette Speaks live on your radio. I'm here giving you the news you can use. There's a lot of news happening. I also want to mention that FIU has a new interim president, the Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez of the state of Florida, formerly Ron DeSantis' right-hand woman, the Lieutenant Governor. She runs on a ticket, or she ran. The Lieutenant Governor is the person that runs with the governor and will take the governor's place should anything happen to the governor. Well, she has resigned this week from her position as Lieutenant Governor to now step into the shoes of interim president of FIU. What does that mean? She will be running one of Florida's largest public universities. She is a graduate of FIU. She has mentioned in a press release that she put out today that she is a Panther, as you say, their mascot, FIU Panthers. She's a Panther mom as well, and she will become the first alumni to serve as an interim president of a Florida public university, FIU. So this is also making news. We also have a new president of Broward College. Broward College's president, a former president, Gregory Hale, took an exhale. Oh God, I said take an exhale. That was inadvertent. Took a leave and resigned, I should say, from his position as Broward College president, and got Broward College is again one of also the largest schools in Florida in terms of number of enrolled students. Well, Ron DeSantis appointed a new president. His name is Tori Alston, and you will recognize that name because Tori Alston was also chosen, selected by Governor Ron DeSantis when he removed school board members of the Broward County School Board and replaced them a few years back. Tori Alston was one of those replacements, and he ran for school board in the last election, but was not successful. Well, Mr. Tori Alston is now the new president of Broward College. So we have a lot of political appointees, a lot of changes being made at our institutions of higher learning. And it's important that we pay attention to that. So I wanted to just bring those two items to your recognition that FIU is getting a new president, and she is the former lieutenant governor of the state of Florida. She has now resigned as lieutenant governor and will take on the interim president role at FIU. She was voted by their board of trustees in a vote of 10-1, and now will be heading up the Florida International University. and that's down in Miami. And of course, in Broward County, the big news in terms of the heading of a flagship institution, Broward College, formerly known as BCC, Broward Community College. Many people are familiar, many people attended. Now has a new president. His name is Tory Alston. He was just appointed, actually, as I was coming on air last week, Friday. He was just appointed to serve as the new president of Broward College. Tory Alston also has been a member of the Broward County School Board appointed by Ron DeSantis when he removed, I believe it was 3 total members of the school board. He was one of Ron DeSantis's appointees. So we have some changes in higher learning. I want to get into a little bit more about Marco Rubio, the Panama Canal, Trump, and sending people, migrants, to Guantanamo Bay for processing, and of course, what's going on with Onijah Robinson. This is Suzette Speaks. I come to you live every Thursday and Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. Do not go anywhere. We have a lot more to share with you after this break.
Going 1, LPFM, Fort Lauderdale.
Flow Jam Legal provides legal services in areas of immigration, family law, Jamaica probate, and real estate conveyance. Attorney Opal Lee is available 24 hours a day, 600 South Andrews Avenue, Suite 4.
Guys, can you see me okay with the rotation? Is it a small version of me or a large version of me? Can you just tell me? The phone is telling me to rotate, but if I don't need to rotate, I don't want to. Can you just tell me if I look okay and the rotation is okay, or I'll restart the stream? I appreciate you. Just tell me if you see me normal. I look large. I look large. Let me see. I'm gonna restart this stream. I'm gonna restart the stream in case I can't fix it. I appreciate you, Links. Thank you. I look large, just like it's just mean. Okay. You're so funny. Okay, I just want to make sure it's telling me to rotate my phone up and down, but I want it to look big, wide, and that's okay. If the orientation is fine, let me know, and I won't restart the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, I can't let you hear this because I don't want to get.
Cocoon, located at 15531 Sheridan Street in Davie, Florida.
Richie Spice is gonna be in town this weekend. I don't know how they doing Richie Spice on Super Bowl Sunday, but leave it to them Jamaicans to do. But yes, I hope you're doing good, Links.
Jamaica International Music Awards 3rd Annual Award Gala Dinner on Friday, February 28th at the Chateau Mar Golf Resort, 35 Invery Boulevard in Lauderhill. We invite you to vote now for Best Male Reggae Album, the Best Male Dancehall Album. Also vote for the Best Male Dancehall Single, the Best Male Reggae Single, the Best Female Reggae Single, Best New Male Artist, Best New Female Artist, and Song of the Year. Jimma. The Jamaica International Music Awards on Friday, February 28th.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Links. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Links. Sometimes I be going too hard on the politics, and I be worried about recording it. That's what I'm like. I have a lot of recordings of my live radio show, but I really don't want to get sued by anybody. So I'm trying to make sure what I'm saying is legit and accurate before I post them. So sometimes I get a cold feet in posting what I've recorded. But I want to do better at just going with my gut, and if I have to make a retraction after or correct it after, just doing it that way.
This is Saturday the 29th of March. Vibes Cartel in charge.
The world boss in Nassau, Bahamas.
Okay. Not the best lighting today. Forgive me. Mikey, you good? Sorry, I see some people moving in and out. I make sure everybody good to go. That he didn't need me. Okay.
Presents Spring Break with Suzette Kalonji. Just one of those days. On Friday, March 28th, Miami Beach Fun Show at 7275 Avenue, Miami Beach. Door open at 7 p.m. Portions of the proceeds goes to Caesar Foundation.
Christian World Ministry, located at 7875 West McMahon Road in the city of Tamarack. Church services are every Sunday at 12 noon p.m. Miracle Sunday every third Sunday at 7 p.m. Bible study every Wednesday at 6 p.m. with Apostle Stevroy Williams. For more information, 954-720-0003 or 954-488-4685. Voice of the Caribbean thanks Victory Christian World Ministry for your support.
Can't let it stuff.
Advisor, Sister Alberta, wants you to know that she's over 30 years experienced and dedicated in helping the Caribbean community with all problems of life, such as love, money, health, immigration problems, court cases, restores lost nature, and removes bad luck, jealousy, and evil from the root. Sister Alberta offers a sample consultation by phone at 954-770-0984. That's 954-770-0984. Sister Alberta promises results in 48 hours or less. The number again is 954-770-0984. Thanks to Sister Alberta for your continued support to radio.
One Love Season 2.
Got a few commercials here, guys.
And spices straight out the yard. All-purpose chicken, fish, jerk. Available at Broad Meat Food Stores, North Lauderdale, Lauderdale Lakes, Margate.
I think I wonder if I should do it in part 2. Sorry for the commercials.
Supermarket Miami, Fort Lauderdale and Palm Bay, FA and M and the Price Choice Miami, 561-946-9941. Thanks for your support of this radio station.
Teddy Upholstery, specializing in auto, boat, sofas, chair, beddings, and lots more. For more information, Teddy can be reached at 561-929-5234 or emailed at teddyupholstery@gmail.com.
Teddy Upholstery is located at 5618 Northwest 8th Street, Margate.
Thank you for your support to this radio station.
M&J United Auto Sales. No credit, no problem. Easy financing. No social, no problem. Apply online for easy approval and finance options. M&J United, your one-stop shop for all your auto needs. Used cars, even special car.
Almost done, guys. One more set of commercials. Don't worry about it.
530-9366. 954-530-9366. 3511 Northwest 19th Street, Lauderdale Lake. M&J United Auto Sales is your Caribbean-owned dealership. Thanks, M&J, for your continuous support.
When I bow down low, you must be mad, we could not do that. Foundation from birth, yeah, man, a low culture. Say, representing for the vice of the Caribbean, Jamaica and far beyond.
WQPN 94.3 LPFM, North Miami. The voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube. WQPN 94.3 LPFM, North Miami.
Got them back like man, in a while me no call one man.
Tell them that nothing, can't touch a bless the you. The guys, them need this. Simpson, me love them, share.
WQPN LPFM.
Yes. Yes, family, good afternoon and welcome back to the Suzette Speak Show Live. I'm appreciative of you rocking with me on this beautiful Friday here in South Florida. I want to big up all of our listeners from Miami. So, Wagwan, Kendall, what's going on? Hialeah, come up north, what's going on? Hollywood, North Miami, Fort Lauderdale, what's going on? Lauderhill, Sunrise, Miramar, Tamarack. Don't want to miss anybody. Going up north to West Palm Beach. Port St. Lucie, Orlando. How are you? It's Suzette Speaks. I'm live with you every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. You guys that know that Fridays here at the Voice of the Caribbean are Fire Fridays. So we are going to bring that fire to you. When I tell you, when you're driving home, the drive time mix, later this evening, the mix, you're not going to be able to sit in your seat. This is my favorite day of the week on our radio station, okay? So Fire Fridays it is. Wanted to give you two quick announcements. Be sure Your tickets are available now for the JIMA Awards. Go to JIMAAwards.com. Vote now. Pick the winners. You pick the winners, right? The Jamaica International Music Awards will be held on Friday. That will be February 28th at the Chateau Mar Resort. Hey, watching online, you see me holding up the beautiful flyer. Shout out to Miss Chin, Lisa B, all of those who are involved on the Voice of the Caribbean team. I will be hosting alongside TC Flex. Big up TC. I will be the mistress of ceremony alongside my brother from another mother. We are going to be highlighting the fan choice winners, right? The fan pick the winners of this beautiful event. This is our third annual event. It'll be an award show plus a gala. So you're getting good food, good entertainment, live entertainers, definitely going to be in the building. We have several special guests that will be in the house from Jamaica and other places, but the Jamaica International Music Awards and some very, very special honorees who actually don't even know they're going to be honored. I'm really excited for the lineup. So the doors open again Friday, February 28th, doors open at 6 p.m., cocktail hour at 7, dinner at 8. This is presented by the Voice of the Caribbean and our partners. We are appreciative of all of those who have come alongside us, including the Chateau Mar Commercial Kings. Thank you, Top of Flow, Trademark, Hinkson, Immigration Law, the Lion Press, and much more. Thank you so much, everybody, for helping to put this award show on the map. We're going to be recognizing our own. I also have an event coming up the night before, February 27th. I'll be hosting Politicking and Networking Social. This is me trying to bring together different professionals from different walks of life to get to know each other, to support one another, and help us build community, build business, build our network. This is how people eat, as they say, right? So I'll be hosting that at the Social Room in Hollywood. You can check my social media, Suzette. 1Z, 2 T's, speaks with an S. Suzette Speaks presents Politicking, Networking, Social for Professionals. I can't wait for you guys to see the lineup. We are celebrating with this event the Miramar elections. The Miramar City elections will be Tuesday, March 11th. And I'll have several of the candidates featured at my next networking social. So I want you guys there. Without further ado, I want to jump back into the headlines. I want you to know what's going on. Of course, we want to break down the news for you, make it simple, right? Easy to understand. But with the headlines moving so quickly, I do have to take a break just like you do to keep my mental health in order. But I do want to focus today on stories that connect the United States with the Caribbean. And two of the most prominent, there are many other things I would love to talk about. The USAID, I spoke about it yesterday. I have actually worked for USAID on a project, a good governance project in Jamaica. I told you how I was down in the trenches. This was in the zeros. I don't know how to say the 2000s, but the zeros when I was in law school. I was a part of a law student research team going into some of the toughest gang related areas in Jamaica. I had been to the Central Village. I was in Flancas. I was in Grand Span. Yeah, man, me go them place there. I don't know, because you're a student, you don't even know that you should be afraid, but it is about utilizing American tax research, because I really wanted to get into it yesterday a little bit more, talking about why we help give foreign assistance to our partners, our friends, our allies overseas. Again, this amount of money compared to how much the U.S. spends in its entire budget is less than half of 1%. I'll say it again, 1% of the budget, half of that, half of 1% goes to foreign aid and assistance through the USAID. Now, again, Trump, I don't want to go over yesterday again. Trump has, and Elon Musk have proposed to shut it down, giving people now 30 days to clear it. This program fed over 32 million people in war-torn and highly famine-prone areas. There are people right now, vaccines that will go bad because the air conditioning and the places that they're stored, the bill won't be paid. There are farm goods. You got to remember, for the USAID, 41% of the USAID food and supplies come from American farmers. So they are sitting in port right now, lots of soybean and other products that are helping to be life-saving measures to other countries, our friends, our allies, that will not be delivered. This is one of the most significant so far impacts that you will see. And I went into detail a little bit on the show yesterday. If you missed it, you can watch it on YouTube, about why it's important. So you see, when you have instability around the world, you know who's clapping with the USAID closing? Iran, Russia, China, because when the United States withdraws itself from that soft power, that soft influence that creates some semblance of stability in other areas of the world, what do you think happens when there are failed states? What do you think happens when people do not have food, when people do not have hope? Gaza will not be getting food. Ukraine will not be getting food assistance. This type of move has such a ripple effect. I said, boy, they didn't even slowly transition out of it. They said 30 days. Marco Rubio even has now, as the Secretary of State, had to kind of modify that to say there are going to be allowances and exceptions because it's just not plausible. They're leaving 12 aid workers for the whole entire continent of Africa. It is mind-boggling what's going on there. Let me pivot. Panama denies that the United States will be allowed to ship its goods for free. After Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, newly minted from the state of Florida, was our former United States Senator, President Trump asked him to be our top foreign diplomat, which is the Secretary of State. They represent the United States to other countries across the seas. Panama's president denies making a deal that the United States can transit the canal, the Panama Canal, for free. Panamanian President Jose Raul Molino on Thursday, that was yesterday, denied the U.S. State Department's claim that his country had reached a deal allowing United States warships to transit the Panama Canal for free. Molino, president of Panama, said he had told the United States Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth on Wednesday that he could neither set the fees to transit the canal nor exempt anyone from them, and that he was surprised by the United States Department's statement suggesting otherwise late on Wednesday. Mr. Molino, the crazy thing is President Molino is actually really pro-U.S., and he's being put in a very tight spot by both Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Mr. Molino stated, according to the Associated Press, I completely, quote unquote, reject that statement yesterday. He said during a weekly press conference, adding that he asked Panama's ambassador in Washington to dispute the State Department statement. He was scheduled to speak with the United States President Donald Trump today. On Wednesday evening, the United States Department said via their X account, the U.S. government vessels, this is the Defense Department, the military, put out a tweet basically on X saying the U.S. government vessels can now transit the Panama Canal without charge fees, saving the U.S. government millions of dollars a year. That's what they put out, and President Molino of Panama is now trying to counter that statement by saying, no, I didn't agree to that. Sorry, it's not true. The Panama Canal Authority put its own terse, that means very, very objectionary statement out later Wednesday night saying it had, quote, not made any adjustments to the fees. Molino said that the United States statement, quote, really surprises me because they're making an important institutional statement from the entity that governs the United States foreign policy under the President of the United States based on a falsity. And that's intolerable. You can't just make up things because if that's how you want to do. Look how the diplomatic and the negotiating tactics are now infiltrating what we're doing in other places. We just saw it done with Canada and Mexico, as I was mentioning in the first half of the show, but now we are seeing it done with regards to the Panama Canal. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who met with Molino and the canal administrators and visited a critical trade route earlier this week, said on Thursday from the Dominican Republic that he had no confusion about his discussions with Panama, but, quote, I respect that very much the fact that Panama has the process of laws and procedures that need to be followed. He added, Marco Rubio stated, the United States has a treaty obligation to protect the Panama Canal if it comes under attack, Rubio said. The treaty obligation would have to be enforced by armed forces of the United States, particularly the U.S. Navy. I find it absurd that we would have to pay fees to transit a zone that we are obliged to protect in the time of conflict. So we have conflicting reports. Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, the United States Defense Secretary, the person in charge of all of the military, Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio, the nation's top diplomat, right? The person who represents the United States government to all of our allies and others overseas are trying to pressure, it sounds like, Panama into not charging anything for U.S. flag vessels, particularly military vessels, But President Molino is saying, I do not have the authority to do that. The Panamanian president has tried to walk it back. He didn't even say it. He's trying to say that is not true. The other big story with regards to the Trump administration and the Caribbean is the use of Guantanamo Bay. According to CBS News, United States government officials are moving rapidly to fulfill President Trump's orders to turn the American naval base at Guantanamo Bay into a massive immigration detention complex, making plans to send daily flights with migrant detainees to the naval base, according to 2 U.S. officials familiar with deliberations. They told CBS News, so far 2 U.S. military flights have been sent to Guantanamo Bay this week with fewer than 2 dozen. You know how much money this probably costs? I was looking it up. Guantanamo Bay is a naval base that the land area is leased from the Cuban government by the United States. That in turn means over $500 million is spent running the Guantanamo Bay naval base. Now remember, this was the naval base where during the War on Terror, enemy combatants, as they were called, were sent there. It's very tricky at that time. Stateless people who were what the government called an imminent threat to the United States. Now, 20 some years later, the United States government is looking to bring migrants who have touched land in the United States over to Guantanamo Bay for processing. Now, the question becomes, is this in fact legal? The administration objective is to send groups of unauthorized migrants from the U.S. mainland to Guantanamo each and every day. What are they going to use? Military aircraft, right? The United States military. And they have been apparently discussing this internally within the Trump administration. More migrant detainee flights to Guantanamo are scheduled for today, Friday, through the weekend, according to officials. The question becomes, is this legal? And I've already seen court cases that are going to be filed to see if migrants have a protected right. Now, one thing about Guantanamo Bay, it is not a black hole of lawlessness. You're supposed to, even as a migrant non-citizen, receive due process, a hearing, an attorney, right, before a judge to determine whether or not you have the legal right to, say, for example, apply for asylum, right, or whatever else, to be in the United States. Salute to everybody watching online. Big up people watching on Voice of the Caribbean app, voiceofthecaribbean.com, Suzette Speak Show on YouTube. Shout out to everybody watching on Facebook as well. But looking at this, it is a crazy precedence of how much money was spent to fly migrants to Guantanamo Bay. The Trump administration says they could house as many as 30,000, according to reports. Migrants in Guantanamo Bay. According to CBS News, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is planning to make a visit to Guantanamo today to assess officials' efforts to set up and prepare enough detention space to hold as many as 30,000 immigrants, as the president called for in his executive order signed last week. You remember those executive orders? This was one of them. Wow. And it's seen that so far they have been building enough, including about 2,000 so far, holding sites for migrants in this initial phase. Though the alleged, Venezuelan gang members, that's what they're saying are among the first couple dozen migrants have been taken over, and that they have been classified as a high threat detainees are being held in there. But they're saying for other migrants, a separate part of the prison created for the 9/11 attacks are also housing terrorism suspects. These groups will not be intermingled, is what they're saying. Very interesting. We'll see if this holds up in court and what the due process looks like. I want to finish up with something a little bit lighter. I mentioned at the top of the show, I wanted to get into and give you an idea of a story that has been bringing me a smile and a half every time I open up my phone. I go up on Instagram, and she's a TikTok, social media, viral sensation. Switching gears, according to the New York Post, an American woman who flew to Pakistan to marry her teenage online boyfriend but was left heartbroken when his family forbid the relationship, has been an internet sensation ever since. Her name is Miss Onijah Andrew Robinson. She is 33 from the state of New York. She traveled to the nation's capital, Karachi, to marry a 19-year-old man in October. She's still there, y'all. This is so much more in 3 months. October 2024. When their alleged plans to tie the knot were blocked by the concerned family, Ms. Robinson reportedly refused to leave, and, quote, the stranded woman began camping out outside the family's home. Okay. A young man who claims to be her son later made a video alleging that Miss Robinson has bipolar disorder, stressing he was trying to get her back to the U.S. to the Daily Mail Online. But it took more than 3 months for the abandoned woman to get a flight. This is what they're reporting, that she's actually headed back. I saw it on Instagram, but I wasn't sure if it's true. This is according to the New York Post. It took more than 3 months now for the abandoned woman to get a flight, despite kind locals rallying around her, supporting her, during which time her plight catapulted her to online fame. If you have not watched any of these videos on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube about Onijah Robinson, you are missing out. This has given me a small glimmer of happiness throughout the week this week. And again, I'm hopeful that if she is mentally unwell, she gets the help she needs. That is first and foremost. We don't want to be exploitive of persons who are not well. However, the attitude, the positivity, the audacity, and a little bit of woohoo that she has been displaying while engaging with nurses, doctors, police officers, social workers. This woman has been around the town, you hear me, of Karachi, Pakistan. What I love about this story, it has opened my eyes so much to what more loving, kind, tolerant, and quite funny the Pakistani people who have been surrounding her, who have been rallying her around her for her betrothal, for the man to come forward and marry her, for her to get good care. She's been in the mental health hospital in Karachi. She was dancing in the hallways in the mental health institution. I'm telling you, this is a sensational story. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, I just seen it pop up on New York Post for the first time. I was looking for information all week to talk about this, and it has taken social media by storm. And I said, wow, it has not made any mainstream news outlets just yet. But here we are. It's Friday, and the New York Post and others are reporting about this dramatic saga. Again, it first took local headlines by storm in Pakistan when American Onijah Robinson from Brooklyn, New York, began holding her own press conferences in which she would issue updates on her own situation and give unsolicited feedback. That is a nice way of putting it, New York Post, on the state of the country, and also bizarrely asked for large sums of money. I was trying to play it here. Let me see if I can get some Onijah Robinson clip for you, just so you can understand what I'm talking about and how the audacity of this person has changed, to me, the face of Pakistan for many, because we never thought that you could be this audacious in Pakistan and get that type of treatment. They weren't abusive, and they were very patient, and it's shocking. It shows a whole different side of the country. Let me play a short clip. Put a smile on your face. Don't take this too serious, but this is what we've been watching on social media. A highly trending story. Onijah Robinson, New York woman, flying to Pakistan, trying to meet an online beau, finding out he's 19 years old. The family rejects her, said, you're not marrying my son. She has been telling them she's not leaving without no marriage or without a husband, and now she's making demands of all the money she wanted. According to the New York Post, the saga, 3-month saga, has come to an end, and she's headed back to the United States. But this is what it was like. The Pakistan people, I applaud their kindness, their patience. It gave me a whole different point of view from what the news has taught us that Pakistan is, and as a Muslim country, what it must be like, etc. Their hospitality to this lady, their compassion, is unmatched. Let me play a little bit of Onijah Robinson, so just so you can see the flavor of why she has become a social media phenom.
In the government for $100K in my pocket so I can do real estate. My husband will own it. in Karachi. We will not live here, but we will get this job done right away. I'm asking for $20K right away in my pockets at the end of this week.
An American woman's journey to Pakistan for love took an unexpected turn, capturing the internet's attention and turning her into an unlikely viral star. Onija Andrew Robinson, 33, from New York, flew to Karachi in October 2024, intending to marry her 19-year-old online boyfriend. However, when his family about the marriage, her plans and finances quickly unraveled. Refusing to accept the rejection, Ms. Robinson reportedly camped outside her would-be husband's home, unwilling to leave Pakistan. As weeks turned into months, her unusual predicament gained local and international media attention. While stranded, she held multiple press conferences, making bizarre demands, including a public request for large sums of money.
Listen, I'm gonna have to leave it right there. We're almost out of time, but this is again a story worth looking up and falling into the black hole of social media. We got a lot more to talk about, but I have to leave it there, friends. This is Suzette SB Show Live. I'll see you next week, Thursday and Friday. You have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon.
This Sunday, February 9th, special guest in the building, Richie Spice.